Good morning. So, who has something fun and exciting that's happened in their business to start off this wonderful Monday morning? Anybody? Anybody have a win from something they've learned recently? Gigi, what do you got? Just gotta unmute yourself. All right.
Okay, can
Hello.
you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I got my first listing ever.
Really? Tell me about it.
Yes. Well, I'm a new agent, and thanks to my buddy Denise, she passed me a lead, and I signed the contract on Friday.
Nice. And what did you use here that you learned?
Well, I was authentic. I went above and beyond. Talked about Compass One, so he's going to be my first experienced client with that. He loved the technology and the organization.
Nice. When you know the right things to say and how to say them, everything just gets a little bit easier, right? So congratulations. That's always exciting to get
Thank,
your first.
thank you. I
Anybody
know.
else? One more. Nobody else has done anything productive in the last week. I find that hard to believe. Michael,
Yes, I spoke to a customer. I haven't, last contact I had with her was in 2020 when my daughter first got into the business. And we sent her out a make me sell advertisement from Marketplace. And she called and she actually wants to list her property up in Port St. Lucie and move back to her house here down in Broward. So we used the Med C in the conversation. It was great. It was very casual and very, it didn't feel very salesy, which was great.
I think the thing that, and this leads us perfectly into our conversation of delivering the pitch with confidence, right? Look, your job as a salesperson is to understand what they want and then have a conversation about that and only that. Because then that takes this variable up and down curve and turns it into a perpendicular line, right? That is the goal. Kathy had a win too, a $1.3 million listing, use my coaching tools. So look, I ask people to share these things for inspiration for other people, right? I always find it easier to hear what other people are doing because look, in our own minds, everything new is confusing. It could almost feel chaotic and overwhelming. I don't know if this is going to work. This is not how I've always done business. And the goal is to turn the confusion into clarity, right? Because once we have clarity on an actual sales process, is what we're trying to teach you, in time, everything just gets easier, right? It doesn't get more difficult because in the end, the clients are the clients. They all have their own unique set of goals, which is kind of similar, right? As time goes on, there's only so many different scenarios that you face. So 80% of every transaction is essentially the same transaction. 20% is somebody's unique situation, right? So if you look at a Med C, it will really strip out what they're looking for, both in an agent, both where they have past disappointments that you'll have to overcome with things that are processes without actually saying them, things that are inhibiting them to make a decision, what they want out of you, and also what their timing is, right? The words, and write this down. If somebody says, if this happens, then I'll do this, that's not a real client. It's not. Well, if I get the right price or when I get the right price, if I find the right home, I'll move. That's not a real client, right? You can use programs like buy before you sell from Origin Point and put them on as a private exclusive and then take them shopping. But there has to be a real trigger event that makes somebody want to move, right? So many of us, how many people have kids here? If you were moving during the summer, right, you'd want to be in before school starts because you have to be into the district and everything else. Like that's a real reason to move. Somebody has an expiring lease and a kid coming and they need more space. That's a real reason to move. Somebody inherits an estate. That's a real reason to move. Two people are getting divorced. Unfortunately, that's a real reason to move, right? So we all want to get really clear on what those actual reasons to move are so you know what to listen for. All right, so let's get rocking and rolling. All right, delivering the pitch with confidence. So we're going to go through a variety of different things, from having confidence when you pitch, how to really contextualize and use MedC insights, showcasing Compass technology, which includes Compass One, a written marketing plan, Compass three-phase marketing, the equity protection plans, why objections happen. So if you think about this, right, what I want you to realize is these are all the tools you have in your tool belt. And over time, the goal is to learn how to effectively communicate each one. So in real time, you can tailor your pitch. You don't always have time in advance to always be prepared. Ideally, if somebody talks about a med C in advance, you know exactly what you need to do, but don't underestimate once a conversation starts and you start introducing different areas and aspects that people bring additional things in. You also know need to when to contract and when to expand. So having confidence, I could break down, comes down into 4 different areas. And the first one I'm going to start is feelings, right? If you feel you're the right person for any job and any client, that is determined by one thing's your belief, right? Your beliefs determine your behaviors, and it's ultimately who you become and how you show up, right? So if you're not prepared, are you ever going to have the right feeling that this is for you? That this listing is for you? I have the feeling that if any person called me, I could list their house confidently without a single material in my hand, because I can understand one simple concept: how to understand exactly what they want, and based on that, have the conversation that they want. Then it comes down to attitude, right? What is our attitude when we show up? Is our attitude, I want to meet you where you are? Or is our attitude, here's all the things I can do for you and why you should hire me? And then that ultimately shows up in your actions, right? Choosing to talk the entire time about what you do is a choice and an action. Choosing to listen first, respond second, based on what somebody else wants, is a more thoughtful action. So if you know the right actions to take, you will have the right feelings going in there. Your belief is that the people are for you, and that shows in your attitude, your connection, your engagement, and most importantly, your physiology and tonality, right? Body language and the tone in which you say things make up more of communication than the actual words that you say. So let's talk about utilizing the MedC. What areas do you want to focus on, right? So if somebody's expectation of an agent is somebody with an amazing marketing plan, they just keep talking about marketing, you're going to really want to show up with a great marketing plan. That brings us to point number 2. You'll have material prepared on how you're going to execute what seller wants. So if I had a seller that was obsessive, Keith, over marketing plans, I would have my written marketing plan as well as samples of my marketing. And I'd be asking questions like, if we created this type of material in this way that showcase your unique story, do you feel comfortable and confident that that's the best representation of your home? It would appeal to the largest buyer pool and ultimately help you get the best price. Every time they're saying yes to that, in their mind, they're giving themselves reasons to hire you, right? Now, it also allows you, and this is the most important part, it allows you to fulfill their subconscious needs in choosing to move forward with a product or service. If any of these 4 areas are not satisfied through proactive conversation and examples, that's where I don't know, I need to think about it, I want to speak with somebody else. So if somebody wants 5 things in an agent and you offer 8, now they either A, want to cut your commission, right? I only need 5, so why would I pay for 8? Or the other one is, well, the way that they work is not what I need. Like, let me just work with somebody else, right? So it is creating that true perpendicular line. Now, the other one is it avoids talking about things that they just don't care about or want to hear. If you go to a house with somebody that has a family, a dog, and kids under 10, the statistical probability of them wanting to live through all kinds of different home renovations, staging, and these other stuff is very unlikely. So if your entire pitch, Sharon, is focused on that area, you're going to meet conflict, right? And you're going to get that they're not listening to me. And it gets you to the last point is it allows you just to focus on the seller. This has nothing to do with you. It's like if somebody calls me up, and I hear this all the time, like, what are you going to do for my business? You know what my answer is? Nothing. I'm not going to do anything for your business because I don't know anything about your business. So me preemptively saying, yeah, I'll give you a better operation, systems, sales process, emails, marketing, leads. It makes no sense because I don't even know what somebody wants. Now, Compass One for sellers. This introduces everything that you do, all of it, right? In one streamlined place. So if you think about this, you look at the real-time collaboration. How do you have real-time collaboration? Well, through collections and also the client section, they see what's going on next, right? The CMA, you can pre-program a CMA for somebody within your Compass One. Marketing assets. In the document center, you can take examples of all of the marketing that you create and put it in there. And the reason that this is important is if you need a price reduction, you can go back and start asking them, do you feel comfortable and confident about the marketing? Do you feel that there's anything we need to change? And this is why it's important to get them to sign off on it from the beginning. Because ultimately what you want them to realize is there's nothing wrong with the marketing. There's nothing wrong with the story. There's only one thing wrong. It's the price. And that's where your insights reports really come in handy. Your team, do you know how many times you text people or email people introductions and then there's still email calling and texting you? Hey, can you send me Chirag's number? I can't find it. You got to remember their natural response is very much like your children. Instead of thinking through anything, mom, dad, what do I need to do? Or how do I do that? Well, no, we want to teach them to think about this. Market updates is collections. The documents and resources is where you put all of your stuff. There's not a direct way to connect insights reports, but every time you upload something to the document center, it pings the client, right? So you can put your insights reports in there, checklists, timelines, whatever information they need. And the goal is to get them to understand this part of it.
At Compass, we utilize artificial intelligence to instantly and seamlessly create a marketing video of your property. In just minutes, we can then launch a digital advertising campaign on our ad platform across Facebook, Instagram, and Google, targeting the ideal buyer for your home. We're able to measure the results on our proprietary insights report, allowing us to see how many online showings we've had, exactly how long buyers are spending viewing the listing, and where they are located, down to the devices they're searching on. This allows us to further target and pinpoint the right buyers for your home. Compass technology gives us back the time we need to provide our clients with the most seamless experience, from preparation to closing. A Compass agent, a smarter way to sell your home.
By the way, I really believe that it is a smarter way to sell your home. So when you think about this, Compass One is pretty much the best customer service portal that you have, but this showcases how you use some of the things that are actually within the portal, right? And the other part about this is Compass One allows you to quantify what you do in exchange for the compensation you receive. Think about it. How is a person ever going to know all of these different things? I can share with you. So Summer and I worked I think it was last Thursday, we spent 8 hours just working on the seller side. So if you think about this whole Compass One integration, if it was a slice of 8 slices of pizza, I was very confident in one day that we can go through and just build out the whole thing based on the work we did. Out of 8 slices, I think we were maybe able to eat 2. The amount of information that needs to go in here is crazy. Then the next part is what you see as an agent is you could make visible on the dashboard for the client to see, but you have to make almost each task twice because the words that they see and they want to read are different than the words that we have for your own tasks, right? So it is what the future, I believe, of real estate is, right? Where it's like you have one process. So if you think about for all of us, having our Compass One system is like buying a Ritz-Carlton franchise, right? It is a set of operating procedures to create an ideal outcome for your clients. So let's go into the written marketing plan, right? It is a launch strategy for your home. Don't call it a marketing plan. People want launch strategies. It aligns expectations. It shows exactly what you're going to do. So if the client has any fears, doubts, worries, hallucinations, it gets them into a place that they actually proactively bring it up. It also shows the depth of your marketing strategy and execution. Remember, there's only so much that somebody can process in a conversation of words versus when they read it. So if I'm reading your entire marketing plan, I'm internalizing it as my own. I'm picking out the parts that I think are most valuable. I'm highlighting the questions that I have. And it also creates a more organized experience, right? Which sets you apart from other agents. Most agents, if you ask them, like, what do you do to market a home? Or do you have a marketing plan in writing? It's problematic, right? They don't have anything. We should. Compass three-phase marketing. So here's the thing. When we talk about testing the market strategically, you need a plan, right? So we'll be doing a free three-phase marketing course coming up in, I think, starting next week. There'll be an East Coast time and a West Coast time, and we'll invite all of you to join the regions that we're partnered with to do it with. But it walks you through all three stages, right? There is collecting feedback, but the question's like, feedback on what? And we have this written on our board here. There's price, condition, finishes, and staging, right? And organizing. Those are the only things that you could collect feedback on. So for houses, it might be some, it might be all, but you need to be really clear with the client through each phase what you're measuring, right? So it's, you measure what matters. We actually just here in one of these sheets, and the one that's the second to the right, we just rebuilt a new listing presentation for all of you, right? Which highlights a more modern version based on Compass 1 and 3-phase marketing. So by being able to do this, you also understand to be able to how to explain the value of a private exclusive collecting feedback, making these improvements and launching to a broader agent and consumer audience with digital ads and insights reports. And you review the insights reports down to the devices and areas where you can more proactively target where people are. And it ultimately allows you to have an amazing open house event, right? Because if it's completely overpriced, you should flush that all out before you get public days on market and public price drops. The thing that no one talks about today is if you launch your house publicly and you get it wrong, how much money it costs the consumers. Portals have all this data, but they will never, ever tell it to us because it devalues what they have to offer. If Zillow gets 200 million website visitors a month and 4.2 million homes are sold a year, what are most people doing? They're looking. These companies are in the selling leads business. They're not in the selling homes business. A matter of fact, in the busiest market we've ever had in the history of the last 10 decades, they only sold 3% of transactions in total ended up with a buyer coming on Zillow and actually buying the listing. And so as we set ourselves up for a strategic three-phase launch, we set ourselves apart from the competition. And the other one is you guys are strategists. You guys are not just random service providers that just show up, put it on the MLS, put up a yard sign and pray that it sells. No person on earth that ran any other company, even if they're selling a $20 a month subscription product, would launch a product without a beta testing group. The people in my friends in San Francisco and the Silicon Valley area can attest to this, right, Brad? Do people launch anything in San Francisco without beta testing and feedback? Never. Real estate's one of the most expensive asset classes in the world, and people do it every day haphazardly. So the equity protection program, right? So the equity protection program is essentially your opportunity after somebody hires you to go through every single area of their home, right? I'd want to know what type of floors they had, how old they were, what the stains were, the age of the windows, right? You want to be able to have all these. And some people are like, well, don't they do this in the disclosure? Nobody reads the disclosure. So you're able to organize this in a more thoughtful marketing material. And I can't tell you how many buyers are undercover sellers. Do you know how many clients we've had that have shared their equity protection program where clients bought their listing and then used the Compass agent to list their home? Because here's the thing. I will never, ever forget this. And I never understood, maybe because I'm stupid, maybe because I'm just completely logic driven. That one of the first deals I did, it had a home that had like a 40-year-old boiler, right? 40. The thing worked just fine, but it looked like literally it was going to die. And I remember the inspection happening and I remember them asking for credit for a new boiler. And that was a property that I had to show myself. So my question was, did you not go in the boiler room? Did I miss something? No, we went. Did your client not see the boiler? No, they saw it, Chirag. I said, did it look like it was brand new and like fresh out of the box? They go, no. I go, did it look like it was going to die? Yes. But you made an offer at it looking like it was going to die. What makes you think our client's going to pay for a new one? So you want to remind the people, because most agents will call the listing agent before they make an offer and say, hey, I'm just sending this over. My client will not negotiate or provide a new boiler or whatever it is, because we've already disclosed that. So please make the offer based on the present condition of the home. And it focuses again on strategic execution, right? Some people might want all of these things. Some people might want none of these things. But the goal is it's another tool and resource in your tool belt. All right, now let's get into the last part, why objections happen. An objection is nothing more than a clarifying question. It's not a courtroom where they say, Firuz, I object, right? I object you. I reject your product. I reject your service. It's actually a person showing interest, but it also means that something you did is not clear to them. So every objection you have, my suggestion is, as a salesperson, to write them all down. Right? So treating the symptom in this case would be, here's the objection handler, here's the script, here's how to go through it. That's playing defense. Playing offense is, all right, this is what people are saying. What part in my sales presentation do I need to go back to create additional clarity for the client so that this doesn't happen, right? So if you're not clear, then what happens? It's a misalignment of value versus investment, right? So if we want 5 things, we offer 8 things, or we only offer 3 out of the 5, it's a misalignment, right? But it's also a buying sign. You know, an objection is a form of confrontation. Most people avoid confrontation. They don't like it. So if people are objecting to you, it shows they're actually interested in what you're doing. And last, and we alluded to this before, it's an opportunity to improve your presentation, right? So these are the tools in your tool belt. We will dive deeper into these, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to review your presentation materials and then use a mock MedC to create a tailored pitch, right? We want to understand, based on our clients, what kind of pitches do we need to create? If somebody's all about price, what's the data pitch? If somebody's all about communication, what's that pitch? If somebody's all about marketing, what's that pitch? Right? And as you keep practicing these, they're going to get easier and easier. There's a quote, and I said this to my son this morning. So I started bringing him into the gym with me in the morning when I work out. And he's like, Daddy, does this get easier? I said, don't wish it was easier. I go, wish you were better. Right? It's a Jim Rohn quote. You don't want it to be easier. You want to be better. And the only way to get better is by continuing to practice. And Carol, this is the same video we've always had. So I'm glad you think it's updated. So now I have time for questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, hallucinations, fears, doubts, worries, uncertainty. All right, we're all lying to ourselves if we don't have any questions, and that we
I
all
got a
have.
question, Shrug.
Perfect. What do you got, Keith?
So, the Compass One, is that the sales pitch or is that just part of the sales pitch? Like, so if we go to a customer and we've already done the Med C, do we open up Compass One and just start addressing the areas that, that they demonstrated that they were concerned about using the
Could
Compass?
not be a better question. So give me an example of a customer, and I'm going to walk you through, like, just like I tell you, got to tail over the pitch in real time. Like I will show you what we're talking about.
Okay, so I sold an apartment to somebody on the Upper East Side, a couple, 2 kids that are in college, and that's they only bought it a few years ago, so they're not going to make a lot of money, and that's my example.
So in that case, I would focus on marketing, right? And
Mhm.
the other part that I would really highlight in this is that whole keys to effective partnership. You control, I control, no one controls, right? And
Yes.
based on that, I would be really, really dialed in on what the comps were. And I would be practicing how to have that conversation where you're not lecturing them on what their house is worth. And I would know all my pricing objections up front.
And so do you make a pitch book or you just kind of go in there with your iPad and open up Compass
I would
One?
make a pitch book. So I look at the pitch book as a way for them to have more information on what you're talking about and all the different things you do. Even
Mhm.
though you don't offer, like, even if they might not want Compass Concierge, it's still good to show them what Compass Concierge is, and it's something you can do, right? So the pitch book is a leave behind. So we're taking our new listing presentation and we'll build it into like a flip book that you can use.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Right.
great.
So look, for this person, a misconception is the only thing that they care about is like, I want to sell my place and not lose a lot of money, right? Or ideally
Right.
think making some money. So if you spend a heavy emphasis on the marketing plan, on the Compass One, it almost could look like you're evasive to what their actual needs are, right?
Hmm.
So if you were my client and you told me that same information, I would know going in there, the most important thing is getting you to understand that I don't control what either one of us control what other buyers are willing to pay for homes
Mhm.
or the price their neighbors are willing to accept for their apartments, right? They
Mhm.
control the price, they control the condition, they control
Mhm.
access, right? You control the visual story that you tell,
Mhm.
you control the execution of the marketing plan, you control the negotiation strategy. So look at the keys to effective partnership. And always just remember, we're going to discuss positioning your home on the market. Don't use the word CMA. Don't use the word comps, right? Positioning implies collaborative. Pricing implies winner and loser.
Okay, and so yeah, good. I like it. I like it. I like it. Then it goes right to that three-phase marketing program. That's the marketing. That's what's going to be important to them.
Yeah. So when they start talking about, I'm not really sure, then the framing of that conversation is, all right, here's how we're going to test the price. Here's how we're going to market in each phase. And we'll have the confidence of data and actual agent feedback to be able to price it in a way that's going to maximize your equity.
Okay, thank you.
So for Shelby, yes, we're updating our listing presentation when we roll out our Compass One. Thank you for your patience. I can literally, if you guys want to see what like the actual list looks like, the document we have is like 20 pages long. Because you also realize is in a real estate transaction, there's so many different email templates and scripts, and being able to build this out where you can add and subtract things is really important. For your listing presentations in Marketing Center, it's important that we put all of the things in there and then you guys can edit them and then subsequently turn them into a flip book. Carol.
Chirag, I was because Mary Murphy wrote a comment in there, and I was actually thinking about that. So she said that she showed the client Compass One, but ended up losing the listing because she didn't do a really good Med C. And my question is Compass One is kind of to explain it is quite a bit of a project. And it's almost like, well, would I want to do that after I get the listing and then show them the platform? But you do kind of want to gloss over it in your presentation to, it's a new element that other people
Compass
don't have.
One just says, we want to integrate your client experience into one place so that you always know what's going on as a true partner. Anytime, any device, anytime, anywhere, any device, any update, right? That's it. That's the whole thing. And you
That's it.
just show them. Yep.
Perfect. All right. That's perfect. Thank you.
Mary, do you want to share quickly what happened on your appointment?
Yeah, I love to. It was a big lesson learned. This was a woman who had lost her mother, had to sell her unit. I'd already sold one recently in the development and got top dollar for it. So, hey, I was a great real estate agent here. And I sat down and did the Med C with her. And I thought I was doing, it right. I wasn't listening to her because I straight away went into the showing her the Compass One because I really know it, and it's a wonderful tool. But I lost the listing, and she was great. She said, "You want to know why?" I said, "God, I'd love to know why." She said, I just lost my mother. I was just overwhelmed, and I decided to go with the agent who just was going to sell my house. I didn't want to all the technology and stuff. I kind of said to her, why didn't you call me? You know, it was my fault. I thanked her, and I wrote that email to you, Chirag, back to basics. The Med C wins every time if you listen to what they're saying. Listen, because as you say, they're only interested in certain things. Address those things. You got the listing, because I know it works. Thank you.
All right, so this is going to roll into Brad's accountability group. Brad, you can just stay on this link for today. I'll just make you a co-host. So Brad, first, let me ask you a question. Then Brad has an announcement to share, and we'll go from there.
Chirag, I have a quick question, if you have time. The Boulder market is very quiet, extremely quiet. So we go through all this, exercises of getting the listings. And so we have the listings, open houses, nobody shows up. There are no buyers. Basically, they evaporated. How do you call the sellers?
So pretty much what you're dealing with, if I understand you correctly, is a situation where there's not a lot of buyers in the market. They put their property on and it's crickets, right?
Yep.
So in that case, there's probably generally excessive inventory, right? So what you want to do is highlight in any area the competing homes, right? And you're going to say, look, what you need to understand is before you put your home in the market, you have to pick which one of these three you're going to be. One person's going to set the market, meaning there are all of these different homes for sale. Somebody is going to improve their price that will create buyer demand, right? So they're going to set the new market. Then the next group of homes is going to do the best they can to follow the market. But again, when everyone starts following the market, they're going to be different people that make different, again, adjustments. And then all the other homes are going to be left with the market. So whoever actually improves the price to get a buyer to pay for it first is ultimately going to get the highest price. And then if you choose to wait, you're just going to be left with the market. Even if you wait a year, the whole market has to reset with higher price sales for your equity to go up. So it depends on, why you want to sell, how long you want to hold the property. But what you control is marketing materials and visual representations and getting it in front of people. The value in the home in the eyes of the buyer is set by both the market and the buyer. So I would address that up front. Like if I had this in my market, I'd be telling people like, look, there are a lot of homes, there's excessive competition. And what we're really focused on is being transparent in what to expect and how to win. Because when you have all of these houses, no buyer demand, what I always tell people, I'm like, look, I hate to say these words, but you should deserve to know the truth. It's a race to the bottom. Whoever's going to essentially drop their price, or use the nice words, improve their price to create value in the buyer's eyes and get the highest price. So you can either set the market, follow the market, or get left at the market.
Thank you.
All right, Brad, you're up.
Yeah, thanks, Shrug. And I don't think I've been made co-host, so if we could do that just so I can we could do breakout rooms, that'd be great. So hi everybody. If we haven't met before, my name is Brad Coy. I'm in San Francisco, and I'm one of the accountability coaches here with Chirag Shah Coaching. Some of you may have known me before in previous years. I've been with Chirag for a couple of years as a student and led the accountability group for this seller track for the first quarter and started with this quarter. But I'm going to have to stop doing that. So that's my announcement. I just have far too much stuff going on in my business. My business is growing. I have personal properties to sell, 2 of them currently, and that just has me completely overwhelmed. So just taking care of myself, I'm going to be stepping down. And I believe Chirag, yep. We have Martha Knapp, who's going to be stepping in on these Monday calls, perhaps. And Martha's fantastic. So she's really going to take care of you guys. I'll still be learning alongside you as a student here and a colleague. So look forward to doing just that. And some of you may be aware, but I do a book club also, and that book club will continue. So that's once a month. If you want to connect, please reach out to brad.coy@compass.com and I'll add you to my emailing list there.
He's not going anywhere, by the way. Like, he's still here.
Not going
Like,
anywhere.
I said the same thing. I'm like, this is not goodbye. It's not like you're leaving. You're just being a student like everyone else. And we appreciate your contribution. And we'll let you run your last breakout group and get everyone rocking and rolling. And look, practice. I can't say this to you enough. And look, Brad, Martha, Jody, Cherish, they've all been doing this for years. And they're still practicing and they're still learning new things. It just... I would say the most underestimated thing in this entire business and industry is how long it takes to get really good at selling yourself in the context of what somebody wants. So, Brad, the floor is yours.
All right. All right, fantastic. We don't just seamlessly always roll right into the accountability group. So this is great. Anybody have any questions about what we did last week? We worked on the Med C in the accountability group. We did some role play. We also had some Q&A on what was going on last week. But any comments about what we worked on last week or what just happened? I know some of you all been taking it in. So we'll get started there, then we'll roll into doing some breakout rooms with Med C. But let's get a little dialogue going there. And I know you've been shy because Chirag had the floor, but this is our time to interact. So
I've got
just
one.
unmute and yeah, hey Kevin.
Yeah, hey, good morning. By the way, thank you for everything you've done for us. You've been wonderful. Good luck on your busy life. That's a good thing to have.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
My only question is relative to the new listing presentation. Does Chirag have a sense of when that might be available? The timing at all?
You know, I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I would expect pretty soon. But I know that, they were integrating some stuff with Compass One and three-phase marketing, which is, newer to a lot of us. So, and as you mentioned on the call, the Compass One is quite detailed, and I don't know how that, fits into the product itself. But yeah, I would expect pretty soon.
Okay, all right, just curious.
Thanks, Kevin. Alice.
Hi, Brad. I hate to see you go, but I know you got to do what you got to do. So last week you mentioned during the slower times, focus on my processes, listing presentation, the scorecard, and so on. So I thought that was a good idea just because there's a lot of stuff that last minute you're trying to gather together. So I had a question regarding the listing presentation. So if Chirag is working on a new listing presentation, should I just skip that one for now?
I wouldn't skip it for now, Alice. I would use what's been provided. And I think there's something that's been provided in the platform. Do you have that?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, we'd go with that for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think you're missing out on much. I mean, anything else that involves some of the newer stuff like Compass One or three-phase marketing, you can verbalize that or fit that in however you see fit.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? What's on your mind? Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to mention this a couple of weeks ago, but I think the best way to include Compass One, it seems like a lot of people are worried about that, is to just set up a phony account with like a personal email and just actually run people through the actual dashboard. If, the communication comes up in their Med C, if it's really important that they're staying on the same page. Like Mary had said, make sure it is one of their things that they mention and they're not just trying to keep things simple. But if you want to get into Compass One, the best way to, I think, showcase that isn't through a listing presentation flip book. It's actually opening up a dashboard and showing them exactly what they're going to be looking at.
Great reminder, Mike. Thank you for that. And yeah, so we talked about this last week because Mike was kind enough to bring it up then. if you haven't done so already, and Chirag talks about this all the time, so this is a repeat from last week, but create your own account. Use, if you have another email account, create your own account as if you're a client, and then set yourself up on Compass One, as well as send yourself, invites for collections, different things that we use through Compass, because what you want to better understand is how the client is interfacing with the messaging that they're receiving from Compass. And if you have that in your mind, it's going to be much more easy for you to explain it and present it to them, because that's how they're experiencing it. And also with Compass One, what's really helpful, and I just recently did this myself, Mike, is start to use that dummy account. So set yourself up a Compass One account as if you're a client. Set yourself up with collections with a safe search, and start to play around with that and see how they're interfacing it, because they're getting messaging. And they'll get messages when you move that through your business tracker from one stage to the next. They're going, I think there's even just last week, there's an integration announced such that they're going to get a notification when you move through those phases of escrow, where they're going to get like a congratulations and this type of thing. So it's really important that you understand the messaging that they're getting. And they're going to get quite a few messages if you have a lot of those items, those tasks turned on, so that they're client facing on the dashboard. So I would encourage everybody to get really familiar with that, as just described through Compass One, prior to really using it a lot with your clients. Don't make the mistake that I made, which was, I was in the beta testing for that, and what I came to find out, and they may have worked this out, is when you move things through those phases in your business tracker, that they do get a lot of notifications. And I had my clients receiving a lot of busy notification that they probably shouldn't have been getting, such as, me changing dates on when certain items were happening. So there you go. And also back to what Alice said, really important to, if you haven't done this already, this has been really great for myself and others here, is find the buyer or seller scorecard with CSC coaching and grade yourself on that scorecard. I go through this probably twice a year and find out where your strengths and weaknesses are on that scorecard through your training. It's going to really help both to realize the growth that you're seeing, which is going to be it's going to feel very supportive, right? When you see some of those marks go from, say, 4 or 5s to 8 or 9s. And it will also show you areas of weakness that maybe you need to work on. And with that, we're going to do a little MedC practice in small groups here.
Brad, can I mention one quick thing before we
Please do
transfer over? If anyone hasn't set up a Compass One account like that, or a phony account or dummy account, whatever you want to call it, if you just go to one.compass.com, one.compass.com, there's like a phony seller and buyer side dashboard already set up that you can sort of scroll through if you're just looking for something quick. If you had like a listing up or buyer appointment this week to show people, that way you don't have to like spend a whole weekend setting everything up. So just for your reference.
That's great, Mike. And I just threw that link in the chat. That's a good reminder. If you folks haven't seen this website, what Compass is doing to push this stuff is really fantastic. So I'm looking at it right now, and it just outlines it all there for you. Good way to go. Okay, so I put up the link to the MedC there. Also, I put up a PDF. We're going to do what we did last week, what we've done in previous weeks. We're going to break into groups of 3, and everyone's going to get a shot to be the agent. So you'll be the agent for 5 minutes. Somebody's going to be the client, and the third person is going to keep time. So let's try to get through the MedC as an agent in 5 minutes. It will give you 2 minutes of feedback, and then we'll shift. Okay. And be sure to really listen, because Mary just shared a really important lesson, which is she dropped the ball because she felt that she wasn't listening. And that happens to all of us. We all get out over our skis. We get ahead of ourselves. We get and we get very excited about things like Compass One, and we really want to talk about it, especially if we've been practicing and learning this stuff. And we all do it. But this is an opportunity to really listen to what's going on with your potential client and addressing those needs and concerns, right? So we want to listen deeply. Set this up. And then after this is finished, we'll come back here and we could have a little chat before we end. Here we go. Good luck.
Hey, Brad.
Hey guys, did you not get assigned a room?
Well, I did, but I think I had fat fingers and then hit a button.
Okay. Let me see if I can find
I
you
was
here.
group 4, I think. That's what I was in.
Okay.
It
All
doesn't
right.
matter though, whichever.
I'm going to move you to room 3 with Andrea.
All right, joining. All right, thanks, Brad.
Yep, you bet. Hey, Sean. And Carol's frozen. Sean, are you not, did you not get assigned a room either? Oh, there you are. All right, let me see where I can move you. Hold on. I'm going to send you to room 3 too. There you go.
Oh, I was expecting more
Hey
to
guys.
be out here already.
Yeah, let me looks like the rooms are closing now. Did you get a notification?
I think we might have left right before the 1 minute notification reminder. So they're probably all getting it right now.
Yeah, they just got a 60-second countdown. How'd that go for you guys?
Great. Yeah, it was good.
All right. And Mike, I know you've been in the coaching program for a while now, but Juan, is this your first? Did you just sign up this year?
I did it. Remember when I signed up last, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't really
Yeah.
put much
Okay.
effort into it. I'm I've always been kind of like defaulted to ninja selling, like ninja coaching
Mhm.
and that framework. And at that time, I was really heavy into it, and now I kind of really want to give Chirag's coaching a real chance and really do the things and do the practice and the role playing and all that good stuff. Because I think it, I think I see the value in it, especially tying into all the technology and just setting yourself apart.
Got it. All right. Yeah, I know that you and I had met before, but I think it was through something else. I think it was through with Sky and something he was doing
Correct.
with Compass Coaching. Yeah.
Correct.
Everybody should be coming back in now. Here we go. All right, one by one, here they come. Let's see. Where is everybody? There we go. This whole Zoom breakouts, as long as I've done this will always be an anomaly to me. All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope you're all back. Hope I didn't lose any of you. How'd that go? I see smiles. It's always good just to get into these smaller groups and meet one another, right? Okay, good. Um, I'm glad you're so enthused, because this is really what it's all about. And this is going to be my last session of leading you all. I am going to be, side by side with you all here as a student still. But I want to say that, please make the effort to connect to people here. This is such a great resource to get to know people at Compass and other markets. Some of us have become really close friends through these accountability groups and beyond. And as far as business goes, from an actual referral network, there's such a gold mine here. I'm currently working with one agent that I met through Chirag's program, and we're co-listing a property that's going to be launched next week. I have 3 buyers in my pipeline right now that came through Chirag Shah Coaching as a result of referrals. And I have an outbound referral to an agent in Colorado who's selling a home for my client whom I met through Chirag Shah Coaching. So never underestimate how powerful these connections can be through Compass and through Chirag Shah Coaching. It takes a while. I never thought I would actually be getting referrals, but I just gave you, a whole host of them that are in my business tracker currently. So it can be done. Um, and how did that go? Would anybody like to comment on what they're learning through the Med C? I know a few of you all, this is new. A few of you all have been working with this for a long time. Andrea.
Hey, Brad. So, I actually shared the document that I thought the new one that you put in the chat today was so over the top. So I actually referred back to the more simplistic one that you had
Okay.
created for us. I don't know
Mhm.
if that one was created to just give more context, but I'm gonna send the one that I told the guys I was with. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a mess. I don't want to look at this one. This one I
Okay.
think you had shared, and it was just simply 7 steps. It was kind of like you start with framing, you end with a recap, but it was way more
Mhm.
straightforward. So I would say sometimes in this stuff, less is more. Maybe they put that together because they felt like people want a real conversational, but to me, it took my focus off of like the issues because I couldn't even keep track. So
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else felt that way about that one, but I would recommend this one that I just put in the chat.
Okay. Well, that's great feedback, and thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it was a new one that was shared maybe a week or two ago through one of Chirag's sessions, and I thought it would be helpful. Sorry, it wasn't. I'm glad you deferred back to this one. I just got tired of sharing. I was sharing two different scripts before, and I thought it would be simple just to share one. Um, but I like to, as we're getting more comfortable using the Med C, I like to have it pretty stripped down and then just, kind of improvise. You probably do as well. Anybody else? Carol.
Brad, I just want to say that I have my I barely want to do the agent role. I was
Mhm.
telling Oksana that I feel kind of, oh, that's kind of freaking me out because we are all agents and it's hard to be in front of somebody that knows what are we doing. But I really learned a lot from her. Her comments give me a lot of insights, and I really I'm happy that I did it.
All right. Glad to hear, Yolanda. And you're newer to the program, is that right, Yolanda? This is your first.
No, I'm not. I'm more focused on buyers. I was more focused on buyers and prospecting.
Right. But I
Uh,
mean, you just started this year, right? Because
oh
I
yes,
remember you. Okay.
yes. New.
Okay. Great. Fantastic. Carol.
I just want to give a shout out to one of my partners here, AJ's AJ. Wait, Zioli? Yeah. Anyway, he's brand new to Compass, and this guy is gonna make us all like he hit it out of the park really well on our role play. A few little things he needs to tweak, but I was just absolutely blown away. Just blown
Awesome.
away that someone that
Awesome.
new and that young just embraced this. So he's gonna be great. So watch it,
That's great
guys.
stuff.
If you're in
AJ, where are you
Florida,
from?
watch it.
Hey everyone, I'm actually over from Florida. I'm in the Western office of Compass. And by the way, no problem, but I am a girl, just so you guys know. I know the short hair can be confusing, but yeah, over in the Florida office.
Awesome. Thanks so much, AJ.
No
Good to
worries.
meet you. Thanks, Carol. All right. Well, hey, we're going to wrap it up. And again, I mentioned this on the call earlier. Well, I want to say, first of all, that thanks for leaning into the practice. Thanks for supporting each other. As Chirag said earlier, the only way to get better is to practice, right? So here we are practicing. Practice this stuff on your own, practice it with one another, get into smaller groups, one-on-one, what have you. And I lead a book club that we actually started through Chirag Shah Coaching a little over a year ago. And funny enough, we started with the book by Will Guidara called Unreasonable Hospitality. Will Guidara, as you may know, is going to be doing the what do they call it? The keynote in Denver at the retreat. So we've been doing this book club. We read one book every month. It's a book on mindset, communication, productivity, or growth. It's been going strong a little over a year. And if you'd like to join me, I put my email in the chat there. I'll put you on my email list and would love to see you there. If not, I'll see you around on these channels. Thanks all. It's good to be with you.
All right. Oops.
Darren Peck. D-A